Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. This is our show for November 2020, when the Disney parks take upon that miraculous change from Halloween into Christmas, seemingly overnight. And over here, the clocks are gone back in the UK, and the fireworks are most definitely not a patch on Disney. And we look at our American listeners who are preparing for Thanksgiving and those Black Friday shopping deals too. We've got a packed show this month. So let's start with the introductions. I'm John, and joining me this month, as always, are my fellow wafflers. We have Lloyd.
Hello, everybody.
Peter.
Hey up.
Jill.
Hiya.
Ben.
Hi, everyone.
Becca.
Hello.
Claire.
Hi.
And Sammy.
Hello.
Hope you're all well and have the central heating turned up and are ready to hibernate with an abundance of Disney Plus and watching our live shows on YouTube for the winter. With a new year upcoming on the horizon, we hope to keep that positive energy high and maybe add a bit of inspiration to your future holiday plans. To give you a little international Disney flavour, Peter's here to guide us all around the Disney castles of the world. Over to you, Peter.
There is one in every Disney resort around the world. From tears to happy smiles, they inspire many different emotions in different people. I'm, of course, talking about the Disney castles. They are more than an icon of the park. When you see one, you feel immediately at home. The world feels like it's right again. This is true, even though they are all very different. Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland is obviously the first, and some would say, therefore, the most iconic. Though not the biggest or the fanciest, it is Walt's castle, which makes it special. The castle contains a walkthrough exhibit of dioramas based on the film. The walkthrough opened in 1957 and has been closed, changed, and rechanged over the years. Cinderella Castle in Walt Disney World is probably the most well-known of them all. It is inspired by several real castles and palaces, including Versailles and Fontainebleau in France and Neuschwanstein Castle in Bavaria. As many people know, inside is Cinderella's royal table, where you can meet Disney princesses and enjoy a meal. Less well known is the fact that there is a special and elaborate suite of rooms that some lucky people get to stay in. The next castle was Cinderella Castle in Tokyo. Based on the one in Orlando, it also contains a walkthrough, but this one is much more elaborate than the one in Disneyland. As you go through the rooms, you see the story unfold with pictures, props, and animatronics. You can even try on the glass slipper. Le Château de la Belle au Bois Dormant is Disneyland Paris's version of Sleeping Beauty Castle. It also contains a walkthrough, this time upstairs, and has a collection of stunning stained glass windows and tapestries telling Aurora's story. It also has a very realistic animatronic dragon sleeping in the caves underneath. A little known fact about this castle is that it is made to look like it has grown out of the hill it's resting on. You can see this in the fact that it seamlessly morphs out of the rock of the hill, and the pillars and the vaulting on the inside look like trees. The most changed castle of the six is the one at Hong Kong Disneyland. It was at first pretty much a copy of the one at Disneyland Anaheim. Several interesting things have happened to this castle, including, on the 5th anniversary, Tinkerbell sprinkled this with pixie dust so that it shone at night and shimmered with gold in the daytime. For the 15th anniversary, it was rebuilt and became the Castle of Magical Dreams, representing several different princesses. The most recent castle is, of course, Shanghai, called the Enchanted Storybook Castle. It is not dedicated to any one princess. It is the tallest of all the castles and features inside a walkthrough, a character dining experience, and a boat ride. This is the only castle that is not at the end of a main street. Tokyo's Main Street Bazaar. The street leading up to it, though similar to the others, is called Mickey Avenue. So there are some hopefully interesting facts about the various castles. Wafflers, what do you think?
Oh, thanks, Peter. That was absolutely fascinating, and I think as well it just gives that background for all of our listeners as to the differences, and it's really important that we recognise that there are so many different castles, and actually gives us all a few ideas as to where we can plan a Disney trip in the future. So, what is everyone's favourite or possibly most yearned for castle? Let's start with Ben. Go on.
Going from the pictures, I personally think Shanghai looks the best. It just looks the biggest. It's one I haven't visited yet. Same with Tokyo, but it does look the most impressive. And I like that they've put there's not a specific sort of character associated with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point as well, isn't it?
I think you're right.
I like the fact that you've not been, Ben. I think that's what I think. I hope people who are listening, it's that whole thing of, yeah, we might not have been, but actually there are so many parks out there that we can actually look at. Claire, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that I was when we were in Orlando. Was it last year? It might have been the year before. I can't remember. I think it was just before Shanghai opened, so it was probably 2 years ago. 2 years ago, something like that. In the China Pavilion, in the back of the pavilion, when you'd been to see the Circle 360, they had a huge, great big display of stuff about Shanghai, and they had a model of the castle and a layout of the park. Some stuff about Tron Ride that obviously is there already, and the castle just looks incredible. I mean, it is huge, but it does look outstanding. So yeah, I kind of agree with you, Ben. I really want to see it. It's not my favourite, but I do want to see it.
It's the attention to detail that I think I'll just bring the picture back up, but it looks impressive.
That's massive, isn't it? And it's like a combination of all the other castles, because that central turret with the spiral around it is just like the bit of Disneyland Paris. It's a really interesting way they've sort of melded together quite a few of the other castles to create this.
Huge thing.
I think it also looks like the Disneyland Paris Hotel.
Yeah.
Put into the first couple of floors of the castle as well. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Becca, what about you?
See, the one that I want to see the most at the moment is the Walt Disney World one, because I just want to be going back there. But I really would like to see the one in Hong Kong, actually, because I'd love to see more than just the pictures of what they've actually done with it and how it's changed. Not that I've seen it before.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the one that I want to see the most, I think. But again, it's not my favourite either. My favourite one's probably the Disneyland Paris one.
Yeah.
It's just so pretty.
Strange. I think, strange.
Yeah. Disneyland Paris Castle is absolutely stunning, and I think by far it is the most beautiful. And the colour, the design, the fact it's so tall, it just is the perfect weenie in the middle of the park. It really does draw you in. It's definitely my favourite.
And the paint on the Paris Castle is meant to make it pop even in grey weather.
Yeah, miserable grey rain. It still looks beautiful.
It does, yeah. It really does.
And of course,
a miracle.
Pink and blue because of Aurora's dress. And there's this whole thing in Sleeping Beauty about the fairies changing it back to pink and blue.
Yeah.
So
I think the details in Paris are stunning. When you go inside, just like you said, Peter, when you go inside and the pillars inside, they actually look like the branches of the bushes that grew over the castle while she was asleep. And unless you really look, you don't notice that the thorns that are there. It's incredible.
And it really does look like it. And it really does look like it's come out of the rock. If you look it really does. It really does. Yeah.
It was designed on Mont Saint Michel, wasn't it? I think that was the inspiration for it. So
yeah. Oh, I love it. We took some friends back in 2011, and their little girl, who's actually one of our godchildren, when she saw the little statue upstairs in the castle of the prince and princess dancing, she said, "That's what I came here for." And I went, "Yes, she gets it."
And then there's the snails, the golden snails.
Yeah.
On one of the turrets that you have to look at.
Yes.
Yes.
There actually is so much detail there, even in the stained glass windows as well, isn't there? You know, I'm not even sure that if you ever have the chance to go to DLP soon, and just spend a little more time just searching out some of the detail in there. And I think, Claire, you'd mentioned it. You very much sort of, you look at a castle, you just say, "Oh yeah, there you go," and you walk through, and it's the type of place that needs that special sort of stand back, admire from the outside, and then go and actually embrace what's within. You know, because there's a lot of hidden magic there, and there really is quite a lot of Imagineering that's gone on. And I've got to admit, I've probably missed it on our trips there. I know fine well that there are parts of it. But go on, Sammy, tell us about your favourite.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a surprise to everyone. My favourite was the Walt Disney World Castle, Cinderella Castle. I haven't seen it since it's been painted. I am not a fan of the new pink. So I'm scared to go back. I am so scared that it's just going to completely ruin it for me.
Really?
It's just really sad. It makes me a little bit sad. Yeah, the castle to me is always white. It's big, beautiful, like white, well, off-white, but you know what I mean. White castle, that's the way I seen it when I was 6 years old, and that's the way I've always seen it. And the gold wouldn't have bothered me, the blue, slightly darker blue wouldn't have bothered me, but taking away that, iconic, it looks like a different castle to me.
I can see where you're coming from, and I can also understand. I can understand your fears as well. You know, I think a lot of what we've watched online is really strange, because I know a lot of the pictures that we've seen from different news feeds and other sources online actually end up the saturation of the blue color and the saturation of the pink, and for yourself. You know, with great respect to your Instagram sort of lead-ins, but actually, I think it's actually aimed at making the castle look so much better. And I think I mentioned this in a few shows ago, but the blue of the turrets, the turrets have been constantly painted in August for, in my memory, every second year since about 2010. And it seems really frustrating, and they must have found like a blue or a type of paint that isn't bleached by the sun. and finally they've got it, and so they've realised that it's going to stay that blue. So actually, we can do something with the greyness of the original castle. Who knows? But that's, in my eyes, that's exactly where they're actually at. And
yeah,
we all need to get there, and we all need to go and take some pictures.
Exactly. I might get there and it might feel like the same castle to me, and there might be no difference. But my fear is going there and it feels like a completely different castle to me. That's my fear. I do love all of the castles. I've only seen 2 in person, Walt Disney World and Paris.
Yeah.
No, I like Paris, but like it doesn't take my breath away. Like Walt Disney World does.
Yeah.
But I think the Asian castles look amazing, and I would love to see the Shanghai castle. Yeah.
I think there's one thing we can all be glad of, which is that Walt Disney World's castle is not going to be covered in birthday cake again.
Yeah, that's the one.
Absolutely.
That was the wrong sort of pink.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that, Sammy. Was that traumatic for you, the 25th anniversary decoration of the castle? Did you find that traumatic?
Well, I was very young at that age, so I sorry to make you
I
feel
knew that
old.
was a deliberate lead there, Lloyd, wasn't it?
25 years ago.
Yes, and I'm 28, so I was 3 years old.
Right. Okay.
But seeing pictures of it does fill me
That's
with
what I meant.
dread. Is it?
Obviously, you weren't there.
All right. Okay. Yeah, it's horrific. Like everyone knows it's horrific.
I wonder, is that maybe worth a whole show of its own of great Imagineering disasters of our time?
Oh yeah, Cabanas in Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Oh, look, that looks lovely.
I was there. I saw it.
It really doesn't.
I'm just thinking,
And you're 6.
if they delay,
It's like Pepto Bismol.
if they delay the celebration for a couple of years, be the 52nd, they could just turn
Just
the,
reuse it.
reuse it,
Use
put
the
the numbers
numbers.
around the other way.
That would be amazing if they did that.
Just no.
And then and then just theme it to Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
goodness.
Oh, you totally could. Vanellope climbing up the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Didn't Disneyland Paris do something similar?
No,
Not that bad.
no.
Best
They
of
tend-
luck.
There's a photo somewhere of the 15th, I think, where it's got flags all down Main Street, and then the 15
Yeah.
Yeah.
in there.
I think we went that year, and it was
Got the Mickey head on.
And-
Yeah.
and they had like a fifth. Yeah, there was something on the front of the
They had,
castle.
and they had 15s everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got those. Yeah.
No, I'm sure there was something in the 20th anniversary book.
I think the best thing about the sort of castle DLP is the dragon.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting because a lot of people think it's Maleficent, and it's not.
No.
It's
But-
Merlin's dragon.
The picture on the outside makes it kind of think it's Maleficent, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, when you go inside the castle, the shop, which has got the glass blowing and all of those things on the left hand, that's the Merlin shop. And there's some really, really amazing theming in there that I think last year I found, which I'd completely missed in loads and loads of trips, never noticed. And it's just at the top of the stairs, but you can go down to the dragon from inside the shop. There's a really cool themed area for the inside of Merlin's area, house, workshop type thing. It's really cool.
And it's worth actually seeking out that, Claire, because I think if you've got very young children, I think you're inclined to avoid it. I think it's even going from memory, it's not particularly sort of pleasant because it's dark.
It's quite dark down there.
Yeah, it's dark, and it just adds to that whole sort of magnificence of the theme in there, and it does give you that real, in a way, a real life experience, doesn't it?
Yeah, the animatronic is incredible.
Yeah.
Particularly since they gave it more movement, particularly since they gave it more short movements.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works. It's short movements put together, and for the 15th, they increased the number of movements, which makes it look much smoother.
Yeah. Good. Lloyd, what about you?
Well, I've only seen the Cinderella's castle in Walt Disney World in person. Do you know what? It never really, it didn't appeal to me that much when I was going as a kid. As a lad, I don't know. It just didn't hit the mark as it might have done for the younger girls going there. You always want to be princesses. Going with my youngest boys now, just seeing their just perception of what, trying to understand what they're seeing, a real, to them, an absolutely real sort of princess's castle, and it's just blown their mind, and that's been a really nice thing to see. I like the look of it. Watching the Imagineering story, the Disneyland Paris castle looks very pretty indeed. As you've said, it's good the way it looks like it's coming out of the hillside, and then they use that forced perspective as well. So you've got the rectangle and square trees, then you've got the smaller ones going up the side of the hill. So it creates that feeling of distance, or far greater distance than is there in real life, and it works quite well to create a bit more of false perceived height on the castle. And the Imagineering story showed it just for what it is. It's just a beautiful piece of work. The colours, the design's really nice. I might go and see it at some point in real life, but I don't know. You've still got to convince me to go to DLP, so we'll have to see on that one. The Hong Kong one looks insane. The work, I've only seen the concept art for it so far, really. But so it looks like it's a completely different castle. Absolutely, just huge. And again, just an amazing, massive, impressive engineering. Shanghai, it looks a bit too. It looks a bit too real and functional. It makes it a bit intimidating to look at to me. I don't know if that makes sense. It just looks like it could be a real sort of castle somewhere in, middle of deepest, darkest Europe. As if the third floor there, you could be getting like Indiana Jones and Sean Connery are getting held captive by the Nazis. It just looks a bit too real and not lovely fairy tale to me. So it doesn't really hit the spot. It's an impressive piece of work. It's so big and so multifaceted in terms of the different elements of design and the different elements that brought in from the other castles. But it just does. It looks like an intimidating sort of Bavarian castle where I might end up getting chucked in the cellar. So that's not the one for me either. My favourite would have to be Walt Disney World Cinderella's castle. It's even though it didn't appeal to me growing up, it's still a landmark of some amazing memories of my childhood. And then just seeing the absolute wonder on Brody's face as he saw it for the first time, it's something that really just hit the spot. That would be my favourite.
Peter and Jill, what about you? You've been to Paris a lot of times. You've been to Walt Disney World. What's your view on the castles?
Go on, you first, Jill.
Oh, well, DLP is home. And every time I see that beautiful pink castle, that's my home. However, I really, really, really want to see Tokyo. We are supposedly going next year. We were supposed to be going this year. We're going to be going next year. And I just can't wait to see it. It doesn't look that different from the outside. It looks very similar to Walt Disney World, but the inside, there's all sorts of different stuff to explore. And I'm really looking forward to a new castle. Not in Newcastle.
Not in Newcastle, no.
Nothing wrong with Newcastle. Just a little shout out to our Newcastle listeners there. No, I'm looking forward to adding a whole other castle to my photo book.
And as for me, well, I want to stay in the Cinderella suite. Obviously, who doesn't want to stay in the Cinderella suite?
Yeah,
it's absolutely gorgeous. But again, I'd like to visit Tokyo again. Well, not again, but you know what I mean. I would like to visit Tokyo. The castle looks really interesting inside. The fact that you can try on the slipper. Okay, it's glued to the floor, but you can still put your foot in it. And I'm wondering if there's anything left of the old walkthrough that used to be underneath Tokyo Castle, which was kind of based on the Black Cauldron and was apparently really, really scary, proper scary. So I wonder if there's any of that lying around somewhere. Cinderella Suite and Tokyo Castle.
What if the glass slipper fits?
Indeed, I guess I marry a prince.
You become CEO of the Disney company.
Is that what happened to Chapek?
Cinderella,
yeah.
So no, I can't agree that I wouldn't want to stay in the Cinderella suite.
Ooh.
Yeah, it just doesn't appeal to me. I wouldn't.
You joking?
Yeah, no,
it's a money can't buy it. It's literally a once
How
in a
about Stark
lifetime
Tower,
thing.
Ben? Like
okay,
Tony
that's
Stark?
more.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Oh,
There's no one of them.
no,
I'll be more inclined with the Star Cruiser Hotel.
Yeah, let's go back.
But money can buy that.
Yeah, don't
But
know
let's
how
go
much
back
yet,
now.
but
Let's go back, Ben. Why not Cinderella Castle?
I like the castle. I just don't
Yeah.
like the. I just won't want to stay in the suite.
Why?
We've not done Cinderella's Royal Table. I don't think, looking at what I've seen of it, it doesn't appeal to me. Just not my cup of tea. Just
Really?
not. Yeah,
I'm really surprised at that because
Yeah.
I think from any Disney lover point of view, it's actually not on your table.
Yeah.
So I think for all of us, we just sort of the back of your own mind, you sort of say, it's never going to happen. So let's not even think about that. So let's just slide that one to the furthest point ever. And
would you not feel claustrophobic?
I would
because you're basically a prisoner, aren't you? You can't leave it.
And would it not
You can't
be
go
a little
anywhere.
bit
I'd feel
creepy?
too claustrophobic.
Best
It'd
vlog
freak me out.
content ever.
Just think how noisy it would be for during the fireworks.
And how quiet at night.
Yeah.
Oh,
As long as I could leave and walk around the park, that would be
I
the only
don't
thing
think
that
I'd
I'd
be
like to
in
do.
bed during the fireworks, though.
But you can't.
Yeah.
You
It's,
can only do it after the park closes.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have theme park view or lake view at Bay Lake Tower.
Okay.
you have one of the best theme park views ever.
Yeah, but I'd prefer that. So I just don't want to be. Unless I can walk around the park, I wouldn't stay there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would gift it away.
Okay. What about in Walt's apartment above the fire station?
Okay, that I would stay in.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's interesting. That's really fascinating, that, Ben, because actually I think it's on a lot of bucket lists. And I personally, I would just have it somewhere to sleep so it could be the last person on every single ride in the whole park.
You know that there'd be probably security guards saying you have to be in bed by this time and you have to be there by that time and up by this. It's like, no, it's just too much faff.
It's like Disneyland Paris. You have to be in bed by 9.
Yeah, I've got to say, my one is really looking towards sort of going further west and going back to, and Peter said it's Walt's Castle, and going back to California. And I'd love to go to Disneyland and just love to see what's there. And I'd love to just explore that central place. And probably for a lot of us, it would be, I'd imagine it would be probably a letdown in comparison to what we've experienced in Paris, what we've experienced in Florida. But it is Walt's Castle, and I think that's, to me, that would be sort of the ultimate for me. Just sort of going back to where it all started, where that original idea sort of built upon all these other parks that have come later. So that's fascinating. I'm really interested because I know I'm really big on the castles, and your words, Peter, really sort of struck hard of just sort of that endorsement of what Le Chateau in Paris is all about. And I think for all of us, we've already endorsed sort of Disneyland Paris in our September show, haven't we? The rides there, but the detailing within Paris is just sort of quite unique. And I think for all of us, I think we've all got our own dreams of what a holiday to any Disney park becomes. And it doesn't matter. We're in a privileged position because we can look east and we can go and explore there, or we look west and we can go and see Walt Disney World and go and see Disneyland. All that talk of castles leads us seamlessly to the first in a series of waffles. In upcoming months, we're going to be discussing all things Floridian accommodation. And whilst it might not be in a Cinderella castle, it will hopefully allow you to plan a trip to Walt Disney World and allow for an understanding of the wide variety of accommodation options that are available. Our first step into this planning myriad of madness is looking for that personal castle that is a Floridian villa and an off-site stay. So, where better to start than with our very own Lloyd, who, after the trials and tribulations of a 2020 cancelled trip, and with a new baby in the family, the thought of an off-site stay brought about a whole different way of looking at a Florida trip. So, Lloyd, take us back to your future and your thoughts for your 2021 trip.
Thanks, John. Well, yeah, I'm hoping you can all help on this, really. So at the moment, fingers crossed, we may get over in May. The flights are booked, so let's see if we get over there. Traditionally, I'm Mr. On-site. I love staying on site. On-site hotels are what it's all about to me. And the idea of being in a villa has never, ever appealed to me. Ever. And unless I was sharing with a few other families or something, it's not something I'd ever entertain either. However, for 2021, if we go in May, the villa is the option we're looking at the moment. There's a few reasons for it. One of the reasons is if this horrible fella COVID's still around, then wearing masks around a resort I've paid a lot of money to stay at, as I'm walking from my room anywhere else, just doesn't appeal to me. When we were going in March, when our first holiday was cancelled, if we'd have actually got there, so we were flying until the actual day of the flight, and then we didn't go because Trump brought in the travel ban. If we'd have got there, we had 2 weeks at Animal Kingdom Lodge, but the Disney hotels would have shut on that first week. So if we'd actually been there, the fact we were on site when all this madness was happening, we would have been just properly just out there, just on our own. Where do we stay while we're waiting for Virgin to rearrange our flight coming back? So just trying to future-proof the trip, we're looking at Villa this time because it'll be our own little slice of our own little heaven where we don't have to wear masks. We can walk from room to room, all around, out by the pool, anywhere. It's just it's only us around there as well. So I'm happy with all the safety precautions around Disney, but on that element, there's just us. So that'd be nice. Plus, we've got three boys now for this trip, for the first trip. So there's 5 of us. So all 5 of us in one room, without sort of paying out the pocket for a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom on site. It's not really that viable. So looking for a villa though, where do we go? Where do we look? What do we need to check? What tick list should I be establishing for a villa? I know I want a pool, and Emma wants a hot tub, and the boys want a smart TV and maybe some games to play on. But other than that, I started looking, and there's such a myriad of possibilities. I don't know where to go, and I could be anywhere from very close to Disney to 40 minutes away, but each have their own pros and cons. So for those of you that have either researched in the past or stayed there, a little bit of guidance would be really valuable.
That's brilliant. And I think as well, a lot of our listeners are in a similar position, Lloyd. And I think it's looking again at future trips and how you want to do things in the future for the best of your family. And with your family situation changing, I think this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to actually go and look at villas. It's strange because I know amongst all of us, we've got totally different experiences of accommodation. And I think that's a real plus point, because I think throughout this whole series, we've got an opportunity to look at different places that we've actually stayed. And, I was with you the first time we actually went to Florida. We had a young child in a pushchair, and staying on site for us just wasn't an option. It was, we went villa from the off, and I think this is where it becomes a really sort of personalized approach and a personal preference that in these current times, I think we all might want to think a bit differently. Claire, I know you've actually stayed, primarily off site, and tell us some of your experiences.
Yeah, so the villa tends to be our accommodation of choice. We have stayed in a 1-bedroom at Old Key West, but we don't stay in hotels, particularly because my kids are slightly different in age. There's quite a big age gap. They're different sex. They can't share a bed. So potentially for us, we're renting 2 hotel rooms, which actually ends up being more expensive. If we share one hotel room, after 2 weeks, someone's not coming out alive. I'm not going to even hazard a guess who it might be, but it won't be me. So for us, the villa option ticks the boxes in terms of space. We all need a bit of space. Actually, Dan and I need some space away from the kids. The kids need their own room. They can't share. So for us, there's certain things that I do go through. I'm really particular and really picky about villas. And I think if you talk to people who rent villas and have rented a few, they will have their checklist, and I absolutely do. So I know that we've stayed in a villa, just the four of us. I've stayed with my parents, and then last year we rented with my brother and his family as well. But I have always been the person picking, because I won't be happy with anyone else's choices. And I'm quite happy to admit that.
Can I come in first on that, Claire? Because I actually think that bit about being picky, I don't think it matters how many of you are going. I think it needs to be a place that you actually fall in love with, doesn't it? And you need to go to the nth degree.
I think you're right, John, because I can sit there and flick through websites, and there's a couple of places that I go to villas. So the two places that I would immediately go and check. One is Home Away, or VRBO, which is obviously a direct to owner rental website. And the other place that we've used for the last couple of years, who have been outstanding, are Debbie's Villas, who are a UK-based company. Yeah. Both of them, it is a specific villa that you are choosing. You're not getting allocation on arrival, which you quite often get if you rent a villa through someone like Virgin Holidays or BA Holidays. Actually, I want to know exactly the road and the paving slab that's outside that villa, and I can go onto Google Maps and I can have a look at it and double check. So I want to go through them, and actually you could be flicking through, well, certainly I've been flicking through websites for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you'll come across maybe 4 or 5 and you go, yep, they're okay, but all the others you just discard, and then it's whittling down with each of those ones that you quite liked. It's a bit like buying a car, I guess. You know the things that you're looking for. For me, the most important thing is location. So I've stayed down in villa down the US 27, which is along the 192 to the west. It takes probably about at peak travel time, because all the traffic lights will be against you and you will sit at every single one of them. It can take anything from you're laughing because it's true, John.
Exactly. No, it's true.
So if you're driving down the 192 to the 27, it can take you anything from 20 minutes on a good day to 45 minutes if you're stuck behind the school bus. Now, when I've got kids in the car, particularly when Millie was younger, she would in the morning be grumpy because we're not there yet. And on the way home, she would actually fall asleep on the way back to the villa, which if we hadn't had dinner yet, or, I didn't want her to fall asleep at 5 o'clock because that's the time we were going back, that caused us huge issues. So actually we tend to pay the premium, and it is a small premium, but for us, it's worth it to be close to Disney. That's the primary place that we're going to be visiting. So we tend to go to 2, maybe 3 villa communities that we know are about 6-7 minute drive from the parking lot of Animal Kingdom. So Indian Creek, Windsor Palms, Windsor Hills are the 3 places that we look at, and they will be my primary points.
I'll add Sunset Lakes into that as well.
But I think that area near Formosa Gardens, it's there are supermarkets nearby. There's a Walmart, which is interesting. If you go a bit further towards Celebration, it's a really nice Publix. Just saying.
We love Publix, and there's also close to Formosa Gardens. There was a Winn-Dixie. Yeah, there is, which shut down, but there's now a brand new Walmart that's just opened. The Walmart at the very bottom of the old Lake Wilson Road, which if you're coming back out of the parks, that's really, really, really useful.
And also, it's got a really good petrol station, so you can get the fuel is a really good price.
Yeah.
And if you're in that area, you can nip into Walt Disney World using Sherburth Road, which is a neat little shortcut up the 192. If people don't know that, you can shave a good 10 minutes off your journey doing it that way.
Yeah.
So location for us is the first thing that I would look for, and I'm happy to pay just that little bit more to be nearby. The first time we stayed on Indian Creek at 9 o'clock in the evening, the first night we just arrived, so we got off the plane, driven there, and there was all this noise. I was like, oh my God, this house is falling apart. What is going on? There was banging, and then thought nothing of it. It lasted about 20 minutes, and then the next day it happened again. And then we realised it was the fireworks. and we were close enough to hear the fireworks. And sure enough, every night, 9 o'clock, bang, 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 you could hear it. So it must have been Illuminations, because it was 9 o'clock, not 10 o'clock. But it freaked me out the first night. But it's that close. And in some of that accommodation, if you walk up the road, you can stand and you can actually see the fireworks over the park. So it's nice and close. And I think that Windsor Hills has got absolutely militant security guards at the front desk, the front gate. No one's getting in there unless you've got a pass. Whereas Indian Creek doesn't have any security on it, but it is a good, safe community.
I was going to ask you that as well, because actually, I think that's a big thing for a lot of people. You have gated communities, and then you have the communities that don't have the security, be it a passcode to get in the gate, which the bin man, every single pizza guy and every single Deliveroo guy knows the passcode to get into, no matter what gate of the community you are.
Yeah, I think there's only one code for all of Kissimmee, to be honest with you. I think there's like an emergency code that they all use.
Maybe. But there's also, there are also, I think, Emerald Isle has got security at the front of it.
Has, yeah.
And again, do you think it comes back to what you're prepared to pay for in respect of peace of mind? Or, I've stayed at Indian Creek. We were quite happy with the fact that anybody can drive in and out, because actually a lot of it is actually CCTV'd anyway.
Yeah, we felt very safe there at Indian Creek, and actually our villa that we have booked for this year, which has been postponed and hopefully going still, but who knows? And that's in Indian Creek, and that would be our place of choice, I think. And that's particularly around the villa layout as well. So that would be the next thing I'd be looking at, is the type of house, the type of property. So for some people, they prefer a 2-story building, which has got stairs and beautiful galleried balcony and all of those things. For me, actually having a smaller child, having a bungalow for us was a priority. I am that crazy anxious parent about the child falling down the stairs they don't know. So for us, the properties in Indian Creek are predominantly bungalows. They're really big, but for me, that was just one thing I didn't need to worry about, which was Millie falling downstairs when she was young. So that's one of the things that we look for. And then it's the layout of the property. Where's the extra door going out to the pool? Is that in the child's bedroom, or is that in the adult's bedroom? So I will go through each of those things bit by bit and make sure that I'm happy with all the safety and security measures. Is there an alarm? What does that look like? I'm a bit neurotic. I sound like a nutter, don't I?
No. Do you know something, Claire? It's one of those things that if you just press book on the first villa that you actually look at, it's all the things that for the entire holiday duration will really annoy the life out of you, because you actually think, I should have known that. I should have done this. We should. And actually, I understand completely where you're coming from, because actually that whole, it's not neurotic, it's actually being aware of where you are walking into when you get there. You go back to talking about the sort of the 27, so the US 27 at that end of the 192. It is a real pain in the neck to get from some of the locations there right down the 192 in the speed that you want to. So you then choose that area in around Formosa Gardens, and primarily because of planning regulations at the time, they are all single story. So you're then in the position that you're actually looking at, and I give villa owners the due here, because they are very keen for you to see the layout of the villa, and they will put the villa plan there. But you have to be aware of it, and Florida law is very good, because the exit out onto the swimming pool has to be alarmed. And also the swimming pool itself has to have that sort of gated sort of entry bit. So for young children, and I think this goes back to our very first visit, we were at Tuscan Hills on the 27. We were miles out, but it was dead cheap. And that's great. That suited us at that particular time, and we've changed. We went back to Sunset Lakes, but everywhere has got that alarm, and it's
Yeah.
it's there to make sure that your children remain safe, and nobody kind of flags that in a lot of the advertising, but by Florida law, it's a must.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because when I've looked at holidays in other places, that's one of the things that I look for is a gated pool. And it's really difficult when you look at European countries. There are very few that have that as part of law, whereas in Florida, that is essential. And as a parent, or actually as an adult who might have someone with them who drinks a bit too much and could go tumbling into the pool, it's a reassurance that actually there's a mesh gate there. It can be removed if everyone's sitting around, but actually it's that belt and braces approach. You've got an alarm, you've got a gate. If anything's going to happen, you're going to know about it before it happens. And that for me is being able to sleep soundly at night in a property you don't know. And that makes a difference to an enjoyable holiday or not enjoyable.
Yeah, 100%. And
talking about Floridian law and villas that might be a little bit further away from Disney. Remember, in the US, Floridian law, you can go through a red light if you are going to Disney. So you're going to be absolutely fine.
If you're turning right, yeah, absolutely.
Don't say that. Oh my God.
I'll tell you another thing, Lloyd, though. That Sherbeth Road, for as much as it's a shortcut, the amount of times you will actually see a traffic officer and also the run down from Tuscan Hills down to the Sherbeth Road.
Yeah.
There's a lovely back route there, but there's always a traffic cop there, and you need to make sure that you abide by the law. It sounds really horrible because you wake up and your first thought is, I want to get in the park. I want to be in Magic Kingdom. I want to be in Magic Kingdom before the other person who's coming from whatever other villa. And I want to be in there before all the people who are actually staying on site. And you're driving and you're thinking, yeah, let's get there. But actually, is that the right thing? You really do need to reel yourself in a little bit. And the 92 is probably sitting there thinking, hey, I'm going to make a few bucks out of a few English and Scottish and Welsh and Irish people because they just want to go to the parks, and I'm going to slow them down, and I'm going to make sure that they pay for the privilege. But anyway, we digress. Come on, let's get this back on. We're trying to help you here, Lloyd. And,
so, John,
Claire's only gone on my number one on my list of 10. Claire's only done number one.
So villa facilities, the things inside the villa. Have you got a list of things that you would look for and things you would avoid? Because I absolutely have.
Well, it's a bit more abstract, really. So in terms of the feeling and the decor of the villa, it's got to feel as if it's more, I don't know if this makes sense, like more like a hotel room than a home. I don't want to feel like I'm in someone else's home. So it needs to be sort of clean, crisp, look quite, and again, we've been very picky about it. It needs to look like quite chic as well.
So that's interesting because obviously quite a lot of American properties that you can rent are full of what I would call maybe trinkets.
Yeah,
you could.
Well, I was going to say tat.
Yeah, I was being polite. And actually, I've stayed in a villa. I've stayed in both ends of that spectrum, so 2 years apart. So we stayed in one, both in Indian Creek, identical properties, just in different roads. The first one we rented via HomeAway, and it belonged to a lovely Canadian older couple. We walked in, it was just like going and staying in their home. They'd left notes around the kitchen. You know, there was a wine rack which had bottles of wine on it, and it said, you know, if you drink one, replace it with one of your favourites so the next guest can enjoy it. And it was really lovely, and there was lots of nice things. I had amazing communication from them, which is one of the things, if you're renting direct from the owner, you want to know that person's going to be responsive if you've got a problem. And then a couple of years later, we stayed at a property just around the corner, which was clearly a buy-to-rent building. It was very stark. There was very little furniture in there. I mean, there was sufficient, but it wasn't cozy. It wasn't comfy. It was like going into the showroom villa. Basically, there was very little feeling inside it, which actually I didn't like as much when I was there. It was perfectly, so you know, it was a lovely house. It did everything we needed it to do. It was in the right location. It just didn't feel quite quite the same. And then we've stayed in ones which are somewhere in between the two. So I think it depends on what your preference is. I'm not too bothered about having, white leather sofas or anything like that. But what I don't want is clearly outdated furniture that's had 150 people sleeping on it in the last 3 weeks.
I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? And I think as well, it's that bit where Lloyd's looking and trying to plan. And if you're looking at photos that are actually on either Home Away or on their own website or in wherever they're advertising, if the decor is up to date, that's a whole lot of a better position to be in rather than a villa that's totally out of date. And then what you want is a villa that's actually had just a bit of love, and it's just not that rental cash cow for someone.
It's that middle ground.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly it.
And there's a couple of bits I look for specifically. I was just going to say the two things that I look for specifically in the villa are the kitchen countertops and the bathroom countertops, that they have been replaced. They're not the original ones, which you can tell they're like the laminate ones with like the plastic covering. The kitchens tend to be a bit old school and pine and not really to my taste and very traditional. But the kitchen countertops are a real giveaway as to whether they've updated anything in the villa at all. So I will always look for one that's had that replaced. I said it was specific.
I would also come back, and you all know, Claire, I think I've been there before, and we've booked somewhere, and we know that we've paid very little for like a 2-week villa rental, and the location has really outweighed any of that sort of whole sort of, well, it's dated, things like that. And to be honest, we walked in and we knew what we paid for, and we actually accepted the fact that particularly with young children, it doesn't matter if somebody's having the tea and something's splashing on the carpet. And it goes back to, if you walk into a show villa, you feel as if you're completely sort of, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, and it's horrible because actually you're on holiday and you don't want the children to sort of be turning around and going, oh, do I have to take my shoes off if I'm sitting on the couch? And it's all about that enjoyment part, isn't it? And it's trying to get that balance right. And I think that's a really key part to that whole part of the planning, isn't it?
And I think
I've been sucked in by that sort of show home looking villa, and I've been through, I think, 2,000, maybe 3,000 so far.
Oh, you're only halfway there.
And I've clicked off.
I'm not joking.
If they've got the pine kitchen units, I've X'd out and looked at the next one.
So but the thing is, Lloyd, it's different for everybody, and I think that you've got the things that are on your tick list, and if having a 1980s pine kitchen is something you can't bear for 2 weeks,
I can't.
Then just keep moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
So it might be in the perfect place, but you're going to be miserable while you're there. So the answer is keep looking, and you're going to have to compromise on some other stuff probably if that's what you want.
It's kind of driven us towards the newer built villa communities at the moment, because they're the ones that are decked out like these.
Oh, there's some amazing
these show homes.
Yeah. Oh, West Side is the villas at West Side, which are down that back road towards Sunset Lakes. Oh my goodness, they are incredible.
Ooh, yeah.
But what you don't know is that half of that is still a building site.
Yeah.
So the noise and things is huge.
We've looked at Solara. That's a bit further down the 192.
Mm-hmm.
So you pass the turn off, you go from sort of Sherbert Road, you pass the turn off for Windsor Hills and you head west, and it's further down. But it's still quite close. It's like 4 Points area. And Champions Gate, there's newer sort of communities built in that area.
John, you've stayed in Champions Gate.
I have, and I'm really intrigued that that's come up because on our first few trips, we always felt that Champions Gate was too far out. And it isn't. And what we actually found was we love the Sunset Lake sort of area, that Formosa Gardens bit. But when you start moving that 20 minutes drive, and it's up the old Lake Wilson Road, we've stayed at Lake Wilson Preserve a couple of times now, which I don't like mentioning on a podcast because if anyone listens to it and says it's absolutely brilliant, what we tend to find is when we go to book again, it's not available, and that really annoys me because I've done reviews for villas, and you're thinking, oh, that's great, yeah. So you give them a nice review, and then suddenly, when you want to go again the following year, someone else has snapped it up for the 3 weeks that you want to rent the villa. And we've been at West Haven, and that Champions Gate area is absolutely amazing because you're onto the I4. Yes, the I4 can be a car park if you hit it at the wrong time. However, you can be out of Epcot at 10:30 and straight into your villa within 20 minutes, and it's a totally different planning experience because the villas are new. They're often, you get the choice of single story or double story. And it then leads me into the other side as well, Lloyd, is the fact that, you know, the amenities that people have been able to put into these places become sort of quite bespoke. And, you know, we stayed in one in West Haven, and the villa owner at the time lived out there, and we had an issue. He came round, and he actually went and bought a brand new TV to drop into the front room because it wasn't working properly. And I know he's come back to the UK, and I really do hope he's listening, because I've got to say I think he owes us a big load of credit for the amount of people who've read some of my work about him. But his villa is absolutely exceptional.
You've hit a good point there, John. It's basically recommendation, but if you haven't got recommendation, it's the reviews actually on the sites as well.
Absolutely.
They will tell you not just about the place, but the management.
Yeah,
that's the key. So I've got written down. I've got my little book in front of me. I've got my Haunted Mansion notebook, and I've got to read the reviews because that tells you everything you need. And if you've got something that's got 3 out of 5 stars and no reviews, I wouldn't book it. And I've not booked villas that I liked based on the fact that no one's bothered to take the time to review. If I like somewhere, I'm going to review it. And I think that that tells you all you need to know, really. If you like it and the reviews are good, then go with it.
There was one that had no reviews on one site, so I checked on a different booking site and it had reviews on that one, so I was able to see. But then that confused me as well because I think it might have been on Home Away, where there was the same property, but it was advertised about 3 or 4 times as if there was 4 managers of it. So they all sort of okay. So then again, you've got to book through the right manager as well for the right property. You
have, and you can also get a different price if you go onto the US Home Away site compared to the UK version, and that's sometimes a preferential price based on the exchange rate, but also some of the way they work it out, unfortunately. And on Home Away, it's quite interesting because you can look at the price per night, and that bears no resemblance whatsoever to the final price because of the cost of the taxes and the cleaning cost. You know, it's $700 to clean it when you leave. What? And then and the place next door charges $50. So don't be fooled by how much it costs per night because it may actually not add up to just 14 times that.
Now, there's some really good points so far, guys, and I'm really aware if I'm in Lloyd's shoes, or indeed I'm in somebody who's always stayed on site, we really need to actually. Why do you actually go and stay off site? Why do you go and find a villa? And actually, is it difficult? Is it so difficult to find? Because I know from our own personal experience, it isn't. You actually find something online, you find something you really truly love, and then you go and experience it, and then the next time, having experienced it, you then begin to understand that, well, I'd like this, or I'd like that, or I'd like to be in certain other place. So what else have we missed? Claire, come back to me.
So I think the thing for me is that you get so much for your money in comparison to a hotel room. And that for me is a bit of a no-brainer. That actually you have the facilities, you have the space, you have your own pool, you have privacy, you know, which sometimes is lacking in a hotel when the walls are paper thin. If you've got people next door to you, you need to cut that out. That sounds wrong. I was meaning the chairs scraping above you.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'm talking about the kids making noise, not anything else.
Yeah.
I should be so lucky.
He's got a newborn baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
got
exactly.
kids, mate. You know.
Yeah.
Keep it that way.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ben's sitting there going,
I'm just glad I'm not editing this one.
I'm not editing.
Yeah, so I think probably to summarise, because otherwise we'll be here all night. I could talk about villas forever.
Yeah.
I think for me the key things are about value for money, flexibility in accommodation. If you've got a family or a different, children or people coming with different. So if you've got a large group of people, you can get a big villa and it cuts the cost even more. Yeah. I think that the other thing is about access to facilities off-site. So we're a family who loves going to off-site restaurants, going to the supermarket, and actually, if you're in a villa, that's much easier to do than if you're on site because you've got to get yourself off property. Now we always drive, so that helps. But actually, being able to go to the restaurants down the 192 or whatever it is, that's important to us.
And I think as well, and I think we mentioned this in quite a lot of times, it's like the use of Uber and the use of Lyft has actually meant that if you're staying in a villa, even if you've got a car, you can actually very, very easily now make use of those guys, and you can get to those restaurants very cheaply. You can enjoy a meal, a drink, and get back quite cheaply. It doesn't become that sort of limited. You're not cooking at home. I know as a family we like to cook at home. We like that experience of sort of you get back from a park, you then go in the pool, and you suddenly find it's 10 o'clock and suddenly...
Sorry, John.
Yeah.
You go on holiday and you cook.
Yeah, we do. We do.
I think you might be mad.
No, it's just you do
No.
it. Actually, that's part and parcel of what we do, and that's what a villa affords you as well.
I suppose if that's
next time.
But
Yeah. No, we do, because actually it's really simple. That's what Publix is there for. It's actually it means that we can do things that we never do at home. And so you come back from the parks, you can have that, and we've become in recent years, as the boys have got older, we've become really quite stupid about sort of the times that we eat and the times that we get back from a park, and then you get in the pool because you just want to go and swim, because that's what you do. It's things that you can't do at home, and then you suddenly realise that we haven't eaten since about lunchtime, and it's getting rather late, and then you just sort of quick spaghetti bolognese, we're all right, and then suddenly it's a hot tub and a bit of wine, a couple of beers, and
I think
it's 1:30 in the morning, and you're thinking, where are we going for park opening tomorrow?
it's I think you're right in terms of whether you cook or not, and obviously we choose not to, but something to bear in mind in terms of COVID times is that a lot of restaurants will do they not many deliver, but you can do a collection at the restaurant, so we've certainly done that in the last couple of trips with places like Red Lobster and Olive Garden and those types of places, Outback and stuff. You have to pick from the menu carefully because you're going to drive it 5 minutes down the road, so your lovely rare steak may not be quite so nice when you get it home. But I think that in particularly with COVID is a really good option, and someone going off and collecting food, and for me, having access to the fridge so you can make yourself another drink, you can grab another glass of wine, and you're not having to worry about who's driving home actually is really good. So I think having the facilities in the villa where you've got all your crockery, cutlery and silverware or whatever it's called makes a big difference. So whether you're cooking or ordering to go and collect or whatever it is, I think it works.
Yeah. And I think for us, that's how we've become very attuned to that, and it's the bit, and I'll probably come up on future shows, and we've had that sort of split stay where we've been on property, but the bit when we come into a villa and actually have that personal space, we have that opportunity to make choices as a family as to when we eat, and equally when we go and swim, and actually the length of our day, because actually, one of the things that really annoys me is getting kicked out of a swimming pool at 11 o'clock at night, having only been there from 10:30 after Epcot or whatever. A villa allows you those choices, and equally the reverse side of that with a very young family. And I'm thinking again of Lloyd. That's where we started. We've opted into the longer nights, but from the early mornings with young kids, it was so good to actually know that we had options, we had space, and we actually didn't feel as if we were keeping people awake when you had that lovely call in the morning as a young family, and you're thinking, are we keeping other people awake in a hotel? And that to me is a massive thing. There's loads. I've got a massively long list. And I've just got one
more point to jump in with, John. It's just I always drive in Florida. Always have. I love having a car. Your villa, free parking the whole time. Haven't you? If you're staying on site, Disney, especially like we stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge quite a lot. We're talking $25 a day for parking.
If you stay at DVC Resort, it's included.
Yeah,
so whether you rent the points,
we always get that. Yeah.
So
we were staying in the
when you're adding up whether you're staying at a villa or not.
Yeah,
it's a thing to think about.
And that's one little thing as well. I'm going against my point here on this stay in May. If we do go in May, we're doing the villa for the reasons I've stated. However, we have sneaked in a cheeky 2 days at Saratoga Springs at the end of the trip. So I've kind of gone against everything. But it's only 2 days, so we've got to wear masks. And
so living dangerously at the end of your trip.
Yeah. Walk into Disney Springs, can't we? And then we'd have that lovely boozy walk back to Saratoga Springs at the end of the night.
Dear me.
Drunk in charge of a stroller.
Yeah. And equally though, Lloyd, I think this is another bit that people think about. I've said it before. I love Epcot. I love that whole experience of going for a few beers around the world and stuff. And when you're off site and you're in a villa, everyone seems to think, "Oh, I've got a car. I need to take the car into the parks." And what we found last year was something that we costed it up, and we did it 2 or 3 times actually, staying in a villa, and it was just like getting an Uber or a Lyft worked out as a $30 round trip. So if you take and you're not paying for Disney parking, because for regular listeners, I know that I hate paying for Disney parking. It's one of my biggest gripes in life. However, you get the Uber in, go for a few beers, then go and find especially in Epcot, you can go and go to Boardwalk and then get a ride back to your villa. But like $30, and it's actually you're then able to enjoy that sort of the on-site enjoyment without the responsibility of knowing that you're driving. And I don't know, it changed to 1 or 2 things. Claire, have you got anything else that you want to add into from your list? I've got one on mine, which if you thought you were being sort of over the top on I'm going to surprise all of our listeners with the last one. So,
well, you know what? I'm intrigued now, John, because I have got other stuff on my list, but it's probably not particularly important. I'm intrigued by what you've got and see if I've got it as well.
Yeah, we're going to play top trumps now.
Yes.
Yeah, Villa top trumps. Right.
That's such a good fun.
Here we go. Right. Here we go. So you've found a villa. You've then put in a Google search on the address because you've zoomed into the number of the road it's on, things like that. So you get it up on Google.
I know where you're going with this, and I do.
Get it up on Google Maps, and then you suddenly know that south-facing villa that you've really desperately thought, south-facing villa has a north-facing pool.
Yes.
And that to me is such an important thing for me. and they sell it. South facing villa, fantastic. You know, we're all attuned to it, like south facing house and such like garden, blah blah blah. But north facing pool is bad news. So again, just one of them little tips, only for our listeners. That's one. I've got another one, but you're gonna have to trump me now.
So the only thing that I would say as a caution around villas is that, particularly if you're renting directly from an owner, excuse me, there is always a risk that the owner could sell the property before you're due to visit. And that has happened to me, but it wasn't a big issue. And actually we got a complete refund within about 3 days, and we booked another villa, and it was fine. And actually the villa that we booked afterwards was better than the one we were going to stay at before. So, things happen for a reason, don't they? But I tend to, if I know the address of the property, just do a double quick Google search on the property to make sure that it's not up for sale. Which I know sounds scary. And
it's not though.
And there are horror stories around there of people turning up, but actually I've never had that. And the companies that I've used have been really reliable, really trustworthy. And I wouldn't hesitate again. So that's just, a word of an extra belt and braces approach.
I think as well, and I think this goes back to things in Orlando are very much sort of transparent. You can actually put in the address of a villa. You can find out the exact person who owns it,
how long they've had it, what
and
they've done, have they maintained it, have they paid their taxes, have they paid everything.
And when you go back to the county in which the villa actually is located, you are then actually able to see on the county website whether they paid the tax for the previous year. And it's stupid little things like that it's really good. If you go and book a package holiday, you accept the fact that it's allocated on arrival. Fine, go with that. But you really are in control on a villa holiday, and you actually can pick and choose what you want.
I think it depends how much of a planner you are as well. So if you're like an Uber planner, clearly not like me, but
you lie, surely.
But actually, I quite enjoy sitting looking at villas, which is a bit sad. But if you're a planner and you're booking things separately and you're confident to do that, rather than booking, your standard package holiday with a single company who is great, because actually for some people that's the ideal, and they don't want to think about it, they don't want to worry about it, they just want to pay your money up and then know that your flight, your transfers, your hotel, everything is included, your tickets, everything's sorted, and you just literally rock up to the airport and it's done. If you're someone who wants to plan and they enjoy that part of the holiday, looking for a villa can be really satisfying, because the outcome that you get is really positive, and you get something. I think you get better value for money if it's the type of accommodation that suits your family or the party of people that are visiting. You can pay as little as £1,800 for a 4-bedroom villa for 2 weeks. Well, actually, if you've got 8 people staying there, you don't need much of a mathematical brain to work out it's really cheap.
That's 100%, and I think as well, and I'm very aware that both you and I and Lloyd have kind of sort of hogged the waffle around this, but I'm also aware that for Ben and Becca, for Sammy, and for Peter and Jill, the cost of a villa becomes very comparable to the hotel room experience. But I'm very much one that when you're with a family. And I think you hit up on this in your very first sentence, Claire. It's that whole privacy part. It's about your family having just a bit of space, And I think for anyone who's listening to this, who's never stayed off-site, it's actually, certainly from past experience, this has been villas just for me. I would very gladly go next week and put myself in a villa for the entire winter and be a snowbird.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Just sort of lock myself in, because
I'll see you in March.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because you're self-contained, you've got the most beautiful place, and you've been able to choose what you actually want to what you want your holiday to be, and you're not reliant upon a front desk. You're not reliant upon just a hotel room. And I don't know, the villa option for us has always been, in a way, our first choice. And I think as well, moving forward, and I can understand where Lloyd's thinking is, it's a really important thing to think of, and again, another option. And I hope anyone listening to this is thinking, no, I would always stay on site. Yeah, we'll come back to that, because for the next few months we're going to waffle about a whole lot of stuff about accommodation in Florida, good or bad, and I hope we touch upon both. And I think at times tonight we've probably looked upon sort of the negative parts of being in a villa, but also the positive bits. And really for anybody, it's your choice. It always has to be your choice, and just enjoy the planning. Enjoy planning your holiday. And I think at this point in which we get to in November 2020, it's so important that if you've got a plan as to where you want to go, let's do a bit of, go and just sort of lose yourself in those thousands of villas that Claire's looked at. Lose yourself. Yeah.
If anyone wants to know the ones that I do like, then you can message the waffle, and you can drop us a little email, and I'll let you know, and then you can save a bit of time.
Really?
Yeah.
I think as well, though, Claire, that I did say it before, every time I've recommended or reviewed a villa, I've never been able to book it again. And so you go on TripAdvisor, and suddenly when you go to book again, and you've said to the villa owner, yeah, I'll leave you a review, but hey, I want to be there next August. And then suddenly you've put the review in, you've waited, and the flight's coming out in October time, and then they're booked again. And you're thinking, flip it out. There you go. That's it. I'm never doing that. I'm never doing that. Never doing it.
But you know what, John? That's a good point that we haven't mentioned, is that actually a lot of villa owners will allow booking of their properties for like 3 years in advance.
Yeah.
So if you've got a plan now to visit in 2022 or even into early 2023, you can probably book your villa now. Whereas for hotel rooms, you wouldn't be able to. So I think if people are thinking that far ahead and they think a villa might be for them, do have a good look, because you'll get an early booking discount in a lot of places. So yeah, the availability tends to be up there for about 3 years in advance.
Yeah, but also I would also add, I've always liked to have my flights booked in advance.
Oh really?
I like to have my flight sorted, and then I go for the villa that I've spent the past 6 months looking at, and actually thinking, oh, that's the place I'd like to stay. Because what I would hate to do is mess a villa owner around and say, oh, we've booked for August the 1st, but actually our flight's not until the 7th or 5th or whatever. And I don't like messing people around. But that's just me. That's just me. I think everybody else is going to get a really fair crack at this, because in upcoming shows, we're going to be waffling about on-site Disney hotels, Disney Vacation Club, off-site hotels, resorts, and hopefully allowing the chance for you, the listener, to make a decision as to where you want to stay on your next visit to the mouse. And I only hope that any of this becomes a spark of inspiration to anyone who thinks of staying in a villa. From past personal experiences, you can actually find some amazing places to stay. And it certainly allows for a different type of holiday too. So in order to not miss out on any of those shows, make sure you're subscribed to the show on your podcaster provider of choice, so you don't ever miss a show. Anyway, now is a time of the show that has kept you on the edge of your seat since episode 1. It's our Carousel of Questions. And in the hot seat this month, from Saturday Night Discussions, and with his very own YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, under the tag See Shaun Vlog, he's with his wife, Caroline. So, over to you.
Favourite park?
Well, my favourite park's Hollywood Studios. just I like the variety there. I like the fact that you can have a good drink. I like the music because the music in there really like that old jazz, like 1920s, 1930s style music when you're walking down Sunset Boulevard and stuff. And now it's got Galaxy's Edge, and that's pretty cool. Not a massive Star Wars fan, but it's pretty impressive, I thought. And Toy Story Land but Baseline Tap House, one of our favourite places to go as well.
Best pretzel. That only changed for Shaun actually on the last visit because it was Animal Kingdom.
It was.
And for myself, I'm 50-50 with Magic Kingdom and Epcot. For Magic Kingdom, it's all memories. It's all attached to going from being a child and spending time with my mum and just the memories I've got of that. And Epcot, because I like the diversity and I like the fact you can try different foods from around the world. And I just like the atmosphere. I like the atmosphere of both parks, but I'm really quite balanced on both.
There's something special about Epcot.
There is.
Really is. Yeah.
There is.
It never used to be one of my favourite parks, but it's definitely going up the list, even with the construction.
Yeah.
There's a chance when Guardians opens it might jump up my list. So it's bottom of my list at the moment, but it might jump up when Guardians opens.
And who doesn't like to go to Mexico?
Right, question 2. A ride that you hate.
Dinosaur. Easy peasy, that one. A Dinosaur. Worst ride in Disney. And I'm not taking any feedback to say that it isn't. It's absolutely terrible. It just is so jerky and rough, and you can't see anything in it, so it's terrible.
Dinosaur, because it's very painful for me.
I've got a confession to make. I've never been on it.
No, we've never done it.
Don't.
I went on it as a child, and I remember it being jerky, but it wasn't too bad, and I liked the dinosaurs and things. But as I've got older and health issue wise, I find it to be extremely painful, and it's got jerkier and jerkier as it's got older, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think our worst one is probably Small World. Yeah, we got stuck on it on our first trip to Disneyland Paris. 45 minutes.
Ouch.
Ooh,
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to the Small World movie then?
I'm not going to watch that. No.
It's got to be a horror movie, right?
Oh, it's got to be a horror movie. Release it around Halloween, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You don't
I
like
think it could
dolls
be in the form of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that kind of style film.
With Chucky in the corner.
Yeah, all dolls replaced by Chucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what is your most overrated snack?
The Mickey pretzel is probably most overrated for me because it's dry, and there's far better pretzels that you can get at Disney. Like I mentioned, Baseline, that's one of the best pretzels that you can get with like the beer cheese dip, but the Mickey pretzel's just dry and plain and not very tasty, I don't think.
Yeah, I would concur with Shaun. Mickey pretzel, dry, not great. And when you've had Baseline Tap House pretzel and you've had Hanger Bar pretzel with their dips, you ain't going back to a Mickey pretzel.
Yeah, we had our first Mickey pretzel last year, and wasn't a fan.
Impressed.
No.
It gets stuck as well for me going down. I find it so dry.
They just need more cheese dip, but that sort of defeats the decent pretzel.
Yeah. It was quite stale as well, the last one I had, because I did have one, was it last
From Animal Kingdom.
trip before, and it was really stale.
Yeah, Mickey pretzel. If I was going to give you a second one, the Mickey Premium Bar, because it's just a bad chalk ice.
Yeah, overpriced.
Overpriced,
Yeah.
guys.
Yep.
Okay, question number 4. Favourite transportation mode in Walt Disney World?
Ooh.
Transportation ride.
Transportation mode.
Oh, mode.
Mode.
Any of the boats for me. So like the boat that you get down the Sassagoula River at Port Orleans to Disney Springs. That's really enjoyable, just going down the river through the trees, the nice music that they play. And the boat from Hollywood Studios through the Crescent Lake Resort all the way to Epcot, I quite like that one as well. So I'd say the boats.
Yeah, but as long as it's
The
not...
friendships, that's what they call it, isn't
Yeah.
Friendship
As long as it's not in mosquito season or fly season.
it? No. Yours is the Skyliner, isn't it?
No. For me, I agree with Shaun. I do quite like some of the boats, but I would still say I'm going to go probably for the monorail because I can go in and off it quite easily. I've got the point of being on the modes of transport when I was able-bodied and now having to use the wheelchair. So yeah, I would say monorail. And I like I like going around on the monorail as well.
Have you both had a chance to do the Skyliner yet?
Yeah, we did it in the rain and the wind, and was the first time, and Caroline wasn't impressed with that at all.
I'm frightened of heights.
That's why I haven't done it yet. I made him ride it on his own, and I got on the boat.
Yeah, we did a race between Epcot and Hollywood Studios. You did the boat, I did the Skyliner, and I beat you by like 2 minutes. So it wasn't
I
really
did
much.
it because
You must have had a fast boat.
Must have done actually.
I did it for Stacey, Disney on Wheels, which on Wheels now she's Hello Queen. She asked me to do it so I could give the disability point of view and being in the wheelchair. And also she said, try and conquer your fear. It didn't conquer my fear, but I did it for her. That's why I did it.
Okay. Question 5. Your favourite table service restaurant?
Out of all table services, it's hard, but Homecoming probably for me. Either Homecoming or California Grill. Homecoming because the chicken is just amazing, and you can get the moonshine and hummingbird cakes. And California Grill, I don't really need to go into that. It's just a great dinner, fireworks, the food's awesome, the brunch is fantastic in there as well.
Flying Fish, California Grill, and is the Mexican one table service?
Not that we've done.
Okay. Yeah, for me it's a toss up between California Grill and Flying Fish because they've been absolutely amazing with my stomach issues and the fact I'm pescatarian, vegetarian. They've changed food for us, so I've liked something on one menu. In one specific meal, they might give us the fish off that, but then give us the veg off the other meal, and make it smaller for us as well. They've been absolutely brilliant. We've had a brilliant server, and then I couldn't highly recommend her as Stephanie. I think she's still there actually. Well, she was. She's one of the longest standing servers. She's cast member. She was absolutely brilliant. Really good.
I have to admit, we haven't had many issues with it. Most sort of, we're quite fussy eaters.
Yeah.
So generally, if you want to pick and choose bits off the menu, everyone seems to be quite
happy
with it.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not necessarily that I'm fussy, but I just know what I like.
Yeah.
And with being obviously pescatarian, but it's easier to say I'm vegetarian because people don't always know what pescatarian is.
No.
But they've been brilliant. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 6. Resort you haven't stayed at but want to more than anything else on earth?
More than Wilderness Lodge is in the main building. Would be mine. Although I don't know if we ever will, but which is weird if it's the one place that I want to go to the most. But just the smell, like how it looks, the feeling when you're in there, that's like out in the woods, in the countryside, and with the log fire and things like that. I think that lobby is just amazing. The pool area is pretty nice as well. And one of our favourite bar lounges is Geyser Point, because you can watch out onto the lake and have the cocktails and sit in a really comfy seat, and like they do awesome food there as well.
The sunset's amazing from there.
Yeah.
For me, it would be Beach Club. I love Yacht Club, and I want to experience Beach Club. I just love the whole of that area. I mean, it would be nice to stay around the Magic Kingdom area, but hands down, I really want to stay at Beach Club. I love the view. If you get the balcony view that's facing onto the lagoons and stuff, and onto the boardwalk, it's really pretty.
Yeah, we've done boardwalking, but I have to agree, Wilderness Lodge is amazing. We've stayed in Copper Creek, which is the main building. And,
is that where Copper Creek is?
If you get Copper Creek Villas, it's in the main building. It's just off. It's the bit that's in the main building, where Boulder Ridge is the second building. It's what they call the old DVC building.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We had a view of the pool, if that's any help.
Yeah, and we were literally right by the lift, which you went straight down the lift, and we were at the pool.
Cool.
It was
good location.
Yeah, brilliant room.
It's something Shaun's constantly run on about that he really wants to do, and I can understand why. It does have some beautiful sunsets.
It's a lovely resort.
So no, we can't complain with the boardwalk either. We booked that one by accident.
And I really want to stay at beach.
Yeah, because I've got a little video of when we stayed at Yacht Club and we had one of the rooms facing the boardwalk, and Dad and Shaun would be sleeping because it was the first time second time we'd been, but he was really struggling with the heat and he wanted a nap in the afternoon, so we'd go and sit on the balcony while Shaun was snoring away having his nap.
I don't snore.
And it was so relaxing and just people watching. It was pretty.
It's a beautiful area. I love that beach.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and it's got the best pool on property as well, Yacht and Beach Club. Storm along with it.
Yeah, there's two resorts you can't really go wrong with. Anything at sort of Wilderness Lodge and sort of any of the Epcot resorts.
Agreed.
I agree.
Yeah. Question 7. Favourite car park?
Not Magic Kingdom. Not Magic Kingdom. Favourite car park? Hollywood Studios. The way that the car park is now. Because, well, we can park right at the front with Caroline using the wheelchair, so it's literally right at the front, whereas Magic Kingdom you've got like half an hour's walk, or monorail or bus or boat or whatever. So I'd say Hollywood Studios.
Yacht Club.
Oh, a resort car park.
Resort car park. Yacht Club is pretty. It's very pretty.
Yeah.
I don't find any of the...
I don't like the Yacht Club car park because it's where you lost the car keys.
No, you mean you lost the car keys.
It's also close to Epcot, so it makes it easier.
I find it very, very pretty. I like it. I like it where it's situated. I just like the whole thing about it.
I like that answer. No one said a resort one yet, I don't think.
No.
I don't find the car parks of all like Magic Kingdom. There's nothing special about it. Hollywood Studios, I don't find anything special about any of them really. So they're just a big lump of land with a few things put on flags.
Every time we've interviewed someone from America, they get really confused by the question because they go, "What's a car park?"
Yeah.
Garage.
Parking lot, isn't it?
Parking lot. Yeah.
Although, actually, now thinking about it, Lime Garage at Disney Springs.
Disney Springs. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's right in the middle.
Random. Okay.
And Lime's on that.
Okay.
It's such a random question.
Yeah.
That's why
Good
I think
one.
it's a good question.
I like it.
Question 8. Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach or Volcano Bay?
Typhoon Lagoon.
Typhoon Lagoon.
We've not done Blizzard Beach, and we had lots of issues at Volcano Bay, so Typhoon Lagoon for us.
Yeah, Typhoon Lagoon for myself. Volcano Bay was just a nightmare with the chair and my disabilities. Like Shaun said, we've never done Blizzard, but we've never had an issue at Typhoon Lagoon at all.
No.
That wouldn't come out properly there.
It's not my favourite water park in Florida, though, Typhoon Lagoon. Aquatica is at SeaWorld.
That's one we've not done yet.
It's so relaxing.
Either.
No, it's true.
So relaxing.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 9. Galaxy's Edge or Diagon Alley?
Galaxy's Edge. I'm going off Harry Potter. It's just getting a bit old now, isn't it? It needs... And Fantastic Beasts is pretty poor, so there's nothing really new to entice me back in. Although Hagrid's is pretty good, but that's not Diagon Alley, that's Hogsmeade.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Gringotts is a terrible ride, so yeah, definitely not Diagon Alley.
Hagrid's is amazing.
I like the theming of both, and I would say I'm 50-50 with both of them, but I'm going to go for Diagon Alley, and the simple reason is that I used to work on the trains for GNER, and the day that I one of the days we went to Diagon Alley, on the departure boards and arrivals, it said Newcastle. So that was a little bit extra touch.
Felt like a bit of magic.
It did.
Okay, question 10. Early morning or late night park visit?
These days, early morning. Previously, it was both when they were open longer. So we'd go in the morning, go back in the afternoon, and then go back out in the evening. But the park hours are kind of short now, so it's more morning unless we want to see fireworks.
Yeah, it used to be both. Before I met Shaun and I went with my parents, it would be either a whole day with a little bit of a gap in between. We would want to get there for rope drop and be there at the end for the fireworks, so you get to see all the magic. But now with myself and my issues, it has been pretty much more early morning because I get very tired, and the fact that I don't really get to see the fireworks properly anymore. So
I would like to find a nice lounge or a bar at Springs or a resort to chill out in the evening and relax a bit.
It's nice to have a different sort of holiday. Instead of being on the go all the time.
Ours has changed quite a bit since I had to start using the wheelchair. It's because obviously he gets very tired. He's pushing me all the time, and I'm normally absolutely shattered by the end of probably by about 6 o'clock. Have some food, and then I'm kind of really pushing myself to stay away. So morning now I would say definitely.
Yep.
Question 11. Keep the magic or backstage detail?
Backstage detail. I want to see everything, how everything works, the ins and outs. I just want to see it all because that's magical to me. Seeing how things work.
We did go backstage last year.
Very briefly.
Because we were doing a DVC tour, so they picked us up backstage.
From Space Mountain and Magic Kingdom backstage there.
Nothing special.
No.
Just
the thing is, you think it's going to be amazing. You go backstage and it's like, oh, is that it?
It's a building.
Yeah. I don't think going backstage would take it away from me, to be honest. I've been going that long. It's probably just, like Shaun says, interesting to see how things work. But it wouldn't take away the magic for me. The magic is when you walk into the park and you enjoy the experience and sharing it with people.
Yes, we want to do a few of the tours, like Keys Kingdom. So it's something that backstage detail is really more.
Getting a bit more into the backstage detail.
Yeah, we'd like those as well, and some of the Animal Kingdom ones with the animals, I think would be pretty cool.
Definitely.
I'd love to do the Wild Africa track, except it's got that huge rope bridge that's nice and high up.
Over the crocodile, over the alligator. Crocodile. Yeah.
Whichever one they are.
Definitely something would be interesting. I can't do it though, can I?
No.
I can't do it, but it's definitely something that if I could, I would love to do. Anything to do with animals, I would love.
Question 12. Favourite other podcast or vlogger about Disney?
Oh, we've got a few.
Other than yourselves?
Other than us, yeah.
I don't really listen to too many podcasts, so I'll pick a vlogger. Favourite other vloggers? Probably at the moment, super enthused Jackie.
She's awesome.
She is. It's just fun and brings a bit of lightness to what's been a miserable year. So she's never negative, but she touches on the stuff that's important with a smile on her face. Not that you can see it because it's behind the mask, but it's.
She smiles in her voice. Actually, you can hear it in her voice. Yeah. For me, it's always been Peter and Sarah Brookhart. They got me through some really tough times. When I'm obviously being ill physically and mentally, and we're still very close to them now. I love watching Magic Geekdom because they all give a different view, a different perspective, completely different people. I do really like.
You mentioned too there that they had podcasts as well.
Yeah, they have podcasts as well. Jackie, and you love Sam as well.
Expedition Theme Park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're who we really watch most of, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, our viewing habits have died down a bit, but they're still the ones that we watch, amongst a few others.
I have to admit, during lockdown, it was like, let's find someone new, and like every day, just
looking for new
back
things.
to work and just,
To be honest, I mean, we used to watch so many every day, but as Shaun said, life changes, things happen, and health-wise and stuff, it makes things change because I kind of always concentrate on watching. That's why sometimes I'm not in on discussions watching either. But yeah. The stable ones for us are the ones that we've said.
Cool. So, got a final question: on-site or off-site?
On-site, hands down, for myself.
On-site in all of the hotels apart from the Valley. We don't. The values don't interest us, but we'll stay at any of the other hotels, and we want to stay at all of them. So, yeah, on-site.
I think somebody touched on it the other day. For me, once you've been on a deluxe, it's really hard to go back. It really, really is. And once you've stayed, in my opinion, in the yacht club, it's really hard to stay at any other area. I really do love it. I mean, we've totally enjoyed yacht club, and also my brain's gone again. Boardwalk is the boardwalk itself as well. The boardwalk. It's not the inn, just the boardwalk, isn't it?
Yeah. That's if we're just doing Disney. If we're doing lots of other things, then it might be off-site. Like we were supposed to stay at Margaritaville Resort in Hollywood, down near Miami. So like places like that would be appealing, but only for a few nights. Primarily on-site at Disney is where we'd like to be.
Yeah, I have to admit, past few years we've been DVC, so we've always stayed at DVC resorts. And last year we stayed at Coronado Springs, which we stayed at before, but it just felt like something was missing.
Yeah, I'd love to stay in the tower there, the new tower.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Yeah, we stayed in the sort of the older complex, but the rooms have been refurbed, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel the same as staying on Copper Creek or.
Yeah. I was looking forward to staying at DVC this year and staying in Bay Lake Tower and at the Poly and stuff, but.
Yeah, because if it had gone ahead, we had a Magic Kingdom, Space Mountain, Castle View room.
Oh, theme park view.
Nice.
And a Poly bungalow, not a bungalow, like one of the ones on the side.
Lake View.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Poly is very nice. Yeah, we've stayed at. Was it 2018? We did 8 nights or 7 nights at Boardwalk, 5 nights at Copper Creek, and 5 nights at Poly.
Sounds
that
lovely.
was a nice one.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, that was our wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Very nice.
Write that down, we'll do that.
Bay Lake Tower was lovely though, it's one of my favourites.
It was our first DVC resort.
Myself.
The first DVC resort we stayed in.
I can recommend Lakeview at Bay Lake Tower if you ever go.
Yeah.
Stay there.
The ones over the pool onto the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were on the other side, so you had the
pool sort of
contemporary
right.
kind of ahead of you.
You could see Wilderness Lodge from our room.
You could see Epcot, Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom from our room. If you looked hard enough.
It sounds lovely, it really does. I mean, it's a shame of not being able to go, but I'm sure someday, hopefully, we'll get to experience DVC.
Yeah, I think Alani will be the next DVC villa type property that we start.
It's on our bucket list, Alani.
Yeah. It's pricey though. Hawaii's pricey.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I just leave it all to Shaun.
We've got one bonus question. And this one has caused a lot of sort of controversy amongst our podcast. So if you had to choose between 2 of these shows, it's The Festival of the Lion King or Finding Nemo the Musical.
To get rid of one?
No, which one's
your favourite?
Yeah.
Oh, the Festival of the Lion King.
Hey.
Hands down,
Easy peasy that.
Yeah.
We love it.
It's such a feel-good show. And the Lion King movie, if we're honest, is not the best. But condensing it down into the 25 minutes or so that the show is great. And it's the songs that you go for and get rid of all the other bits. And that's what the Festival of the Lion King's good at.
And I have to say, I've seen the stage show, and I prefer the Disney show over the stage show.
Okay.
And that's not many people will say that, but I do.
I have to admit, we did the Rhythm of the Pride Lands, which is the one in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a cross between. It's less of the interaction from Festival of the Lion King, and it's more of the stage show.
Right.
But it was really good. But
it's got some really good acrobatics.
But with it only being sort of 25 minutes long, it sort of fits it better.
Broadway doesn't need to have
90 minutes.
90-minute shows. You can do it in half an hour. Half the prizes, have more of them.
Yeah,
that's true.
No, definitely go
do a medley.
Yeah.
That's a good way.
That'll work.
3 different ones, one after the other.
So, where can our listeners find where are you on like the socials or YouTube?
So where the channel is See Shaun Vlog, and that's the same on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You can go to seeshaunvlog.com as well. You can also see me on Discussions, Saturday Night Discussions, which is a weekly show at 8 o'clock every Saturday. And Caroline, you've got your own Twitter.
Yeah, Caroline9 on Twitter.
That was brilliant. Thank you for joining us today, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Been brilliant.
Hey, thanks, Ben and Becca. That sounded like a really good carousel of questions, and actually a really good couple to actually have a good chat with in respect of their own Disney experience as well. Thanks to all of our listeners for listening to us waffle. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at GB Mickey Waffle. And please do have a look at our YouTube channel, The Great British Mickey Waffle. We now have 2 live shows on there, so please do have a watch. You can also get in touch with us by email using themickeywaffle@gmail.com. If you're listening for the first time, welcome. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your podcast app so you don't miss out on any of the fun stuff that we have coming up. And until the next time, as always, waffle on.
Waffle on.
Waffle on.